So see with the Jim's jobs, this is what I do. I then tick, and I'll just write an invoice, and then I'll circle that and go to 14 days now, and then I'll go home and reschedule that.
Is this how most of the blokes work? They have a run sheet there. Obviously, run down there. You've ticked, you've marked there. So do you?
So we just did David's place.
Yep.
So I tick that. I write invoice, so I know when I get home to invoice him. And I've got 21 days, and I'm just going to change that to 14 days.
And what do you use to do an invoice?
0.
You use 0, right?
Yeah. So I invoice on the day I do the job. Some blokes will invoice twice a week.
Okay.
Some blokes will do it once a week.
But you do it on the day you do it?
I do it.
Okay.
Yeah, because 2 reasons. 1, you can forget. And 2, you want that money coming in as quick as you can.
Yeah. And what about the horticultural certificate? So you're qualified, you got the Cert 2 in horticulture, and I think you can do a Cert 3. Can you do a
Cert 3?
Yep.
Cert 4 I think is when you sort of get up into the more management level style or
right.
the teaching style.
So what does that course actually teach you? Tell us a little bit about that.
So the Cert 2 gives you some plant knowledge, so plant identification. I think there was about 30 plants that we had to identify. The common name, the Latin name, and the family that it comes from.
So when you rock up to a job, you look at the garden, you know everything, or you could name everything pretty much, most of the items that are there.
Well, some of the plants that we identified, none of my clients have got, but
yep.
yeah, there were a large amount of plants that I didn't know that I do now know what they're called, which then allows me to research what their best growing conditions are, when they're best fertilised, when they're best pruned, if they need to be pruned. Are they in their optimal spot of planting, those sort of things.
That's great. So that's something like a bit of knowledge you can go to the client and really demonstrate it and sort of help.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I think there was some irrigation, turfing, retaining walls. So things that you just would never think you might do. Turfing, absolutely. I was lucky enough to do my own garden, so I knew a little bit about turf. But there are guys on the course, and even for me to some extent, with retaining walls, that you'd walk away going, okay, I might have a crack at that. Whether it's in my home garden or whether it's at somebody's place, I wouldn't have felt comfortable about that, but now I've got that.
How long did it take you to roughly complete?
The course?
Yeah.
We'll start in April, so it's at April, May, June, July, August, so 4.5, 5 months.
Yeah, was that like a night a week or?
Yeah, so it was a Monday night per week, and then it was 6 Saturday sessions as well.
Okay.
So, and you also walked away with your what's known as your CHEM certificate, so your Australian chemical certificate, and that just allows you the proper storage, use, and of chemicals.
Now, do you think that'll allow you to build a bigger business having that knowledge to do?
Yeah, so saying earlier how I've got a LinkedIn page, so now I'll add that certificate to my qualification, so Certificate 2 in horticulture. I plan to do the Cert 3, whether it be next year or the year after, and build up again. And yeah, I think so. I think that for the most part, people are just happy if you look after their lawn and garden, but there are those that will, what qualifications do you have?
Now, do you get the common, because obviously a lot of people, they just think, Jim's mowing, whatever, and you have some people who might come and just buy a franchise and just say, I'm just going to do lawns and just punch out lawns in a day. Obviously you're gardeners. Most of our blokes are gardeners. So what does being a gardener sort of mean or encompass for you?
Look, as people get older in life, or they really like their garden being looked after and maintained, but they also are busier as well, so they don't want to have to do it. So you've got to understand that, we mow lawns, but we do so much more than that. And you're right, we are gardeners, and people take pride in their garden. They want to be able to show it off, especially in days like today, and especially in the months that we're coming up to. So if you can show people that you are a gardener, and by that, looking after their plants when they need to be looked after, so pruning their plants at the right time of the year and in the right method, looking after their roses, making sure that they've got those roses bigger and better each season, keeping it clean and weed free, pest and disease free on their plants, offering advice as to what should be planted where and when, and if they're going.
But even the location, right, makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Right.
I've got an area here, what would you recommend? Having that confidence to be able to say, look, I would recommend these actually. They're a good plant, they're hardy, they grow a good flower, they're colourful, whatever the case might be. But to be able to offer that advice does wonders for a client and does wonders for your business because you know you're going to make money out of that. You're going to go and source the plants. You're going to buy the plants, plant them, and you're going to bill them accordingly. You know, so. But you know, if you do a good job, people are happy to pay.
There's so much more detail than what I think people just assume, which is just, you know, rock up to a, you know, let's say mowing an edge and that's it or whatever. But as you said, there's so much more.
Well, people ask me what I do for a living. I say I'm a gardener, or now I'm a qualified, you know,
Horticultural.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, oh right, okay. And then they might be surprised that you rock up wearing your gym's high vis and your trailer.
Yeah.
But they, at the same time, they just look at it and go, geez, done a fantastic job here. I gauged a client, I got a client because I do their neighbour's yard, and she asked me, she said, why do you think these aren't growing, these trees here? And I said, you know, the first thing I would do, I would look at your soil. I would take a sample of soil. I could have done it for her, but I actually suggested that, you know, take a sample of soil down to the nursery, get them to test the pH, and see what they say. A week later, I was back mowing the other person's property, and she said, look, you know, I did that, and they told me it was this. She goes, I want you to maintain my garden now.
Wow.
She said, we've had so many people just fill us full of shit and just try and, you know, spin us a yarn, but you suggested this. It turned out to be the reason, and you know, and it was on the back of the horticulture course. It was a few weeks before that we'd been talking about soil pH levels.
I know we've got a tagline saying more than just mowing, but it really is, isn't it? It's
100%.
Total garden, total solution.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And you know what? Don't try and tell them something that you don't know. If you don't know, oh, this is interesting, what's happened here? Person's
gone completely the wrong way.
They've either gone the wrong way or they've had an accident.
So for those who can't see, there's a car which is going down the wrong way. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just got himself maybe a bit mixed up.
So these are one of the pitfalls of working in Brighton. People who think...
Was he on the phone at the same time?
I don't know what he's doing.
He's got something in his hand. Yeah, I think he's, yeah.
So let's just say he's elderly and he's come around the roundabout the wrong way and...
It might be in a bit of strife here. Oh, I think his engine's something's conked out. You right, mate? You okay? Yeah. Oh, you're going to do it here. I was just going to jump start it. Yeah. He's just going to jump start it off that car.